And good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again, at the podcast for the soul with the School of Conscious Evolution. My name is Daniela Florio. I am a medium. I am a healer and a crystal therapist. I do other things as well, but we'll leave it for another time. My lovely guest tonight, it's Phil Shaw. Is a trance medium. Can we say astrologer by passion?
Astrologer by passion rather than by profession.
Or by profession?
By passion.
By passion, yeah. Right? Yeah. That is why I'm asking.
Yes.
And so tonight we are going to be talking about astrology, and we will be, and hopefully we will be getting questions from you as well. If you're curious and if you want to find out more about astrology and how it can help you with your journey, with your life journey, with your soul journey, and with your emotional journey. And then we will move on to the readings. And Phil is yes, a trance medium, and it's always so so to observe Phil during his trance mediumship with his guide Chan, because it's so beautiful, basically. So. And the level of
Danny, I'm not actually going to be working in trance tonight. We're going to be working on evidential mediumship, on the psychic level, and also with tarot.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I was going to add the tarot bit, but it's absolutely fine, and I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah,
sounds very intriguing, all of that, particularly because you are on with us. Okay, so let me check, let me say hi and good evening to Tracy, Bev Newton. So good evening, Tracy. Good evening, Bev. Good evening, Marion. Good evening, Olga. Oh, sorry, meant hi. It's okay. Good evening, Lisa. And I know that there are more people joining us as I speak. So, and obviously, good evening to you as well, Phil. How are you tonight?
I'm very well, Danny. And I'm paid. And it's always very stimulating and fascinating to see how the program guides itself, really. And we end up doing sometimes all sorts of things that we hadn't planned to do, but nevertheless have been beneficial for the overall program show.
Yes, absolutely, Phil, absolutely. And so we have had a little chat beforehand in regards to you and your passion for astrology. Can you tell me how you came about? How did you become passionate about astrology? And I understand that you are a follower of the Jung philosopher and counselor theories about the connection between astrology and personalities or archetypes, so-called.
Yeah.
So tell us more about it.
Well, I think that every sort of erstwhile astrologer eventually settles into a sort of a astrological groove, if you like, or a way of working which seems to suit their temperament and their kind of innate intuitive understanding of the subject. And in that sense, we all, as developing astrologers, tend to follow one path or another towards the way in which we use the tools of astrology. And I really found that using archetypal, i.e. Jungian astrology, and also what I'm now really going into in quite some depth, evolutionary astrology, with a wonderful astrologer called Mark Jones, who is an evolutionary astrologer, has really helped me to, it's not only helped my mediumship, but it's also helped my sort of an understanding of the counseling process. Although I'm not, strictly speaking, I'm qualified in the foundations of humanistic counseling, and also I have a diploma from University of London Birkbeck in a diploma in analytical psychology. But apart from that, I haven't actually practiced as a counselor, but astrology is proving to be incredibly useful by way of my one-to-one mediumship sessions. Not that I often bring astrology in, but it's often aspects of astrology are being given to me by my guides and inspirers while I'm actually doing the mediumship session. So I'm not telling my recipient, well, I'm being told your Mars and your Pluto is doing this, that, and the other in your chart. But I'm feeding that, they're feeding me the information, and then I'm translating the information in terms of the way that the reading is moving for them personally. And it's incredibly revealing and very, very helpful. And now
very sure.
I found that in my trance sessions, Chung often refers to astrological symbology in terms of explaining a point to the recipient of a message in the astrological context of what we are discussing. And it really illuminates and brings out a completely different dimension and perspective on the reading. So
absolutely. And of these days, day and age, humankind, let's say, it's coming across very, very many difficulties. We only of late, we've had to experience COVID, and a lot of people had to go through, or automatically went through an inner journey of discovery of self.
Absolutely.
Where so many at the end of the 2-3 years lockdown, they decided to change their career, for instance, and it changed their life because we were all forced into this, process of we had all the time in the world to spend for ourselves, with ourselves, and not much input from the outside. And so this is what normally would happen with a lot of meditation, for instance, but normally at the same time, we don't have that time, right? And mainstream people, because of family, work, health, and so on and so forth. What would you, so I just wanted to say good evening to the people that have joined us since I've done the introduction. So Lisa, Tracy, Jennifer, Val. We've got a few followers from the US. Melinda, good evening, Melinda.
Good evening.
So Tracy is saying, sounds very interesting, and very much so. If our followers have any questions at all, hopefully we can try and give you an answer in regards of the horoscope. So, Phil, how can we use the horoscope to find guidance, which is beside a tarot reading, for instance?
Well, Danny, first of all, I would say don't be put off by the amount of information that is obtainable potentially from a chart, from a birth chart, because at first glance, it looks incredibly complex and complicated and confusing. And until you actually start to break it down section by section, as in planets, signs, houses, elements, and so on, you're going to be overwhelmed. So it's just like taking small spoonfuls at a time and working your way gradually through every particular construction, the whole construction of a chart. And I think your question was, how can we benefit from the astrological chart? Because it's a journey. It's a journey as we go through the journey of life on an evolutionary level, spiritually and physically. So the chart is rather like a roadmap. It's guiding us along what might seemingly be a very complex, but along the way, it's giving us very, very pronounced signposts as to what particular changes we are potentially moving through psychologically, emotionally, intellectually, and how we can use that information to enhance the knowledge that we already possess as spiritual and conscious beings. So it is a
your screen.
It's a tool. Hello?
Yeah, sorry, your video was freezing for a moment. So can you repeat the last sentence again, please?
Oh, yes. I just said it's an incredible roadmap. It's an incredible beacon, if you like, a torch. It's a torch bearer towards those particular aspects of life that may be giving us confusion, misunderstanding, complexities of life that we're moving through. And it's rather like going to see a medium and hopefully getting information from the medium or the guide if you're having a trance reading, whereby you can understand more easily what might seem a very complex situation, and just breaking that down into elements of evolutionary progression as far as we spiritually are concerned.
Right.
And I think the whole Jungian approach is very interesting, because Jung's whole take on everything was about individuating as a person through life. His whole ethos was based around the individuation process, which is exactly what the astrological chart is really all about, unless you're getting into synastry, which is the comparison of two people's charts together and how you can merge those charts.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Of course, yes. That's true as well.
And very other yes.
Yeah, so many people, they do look up for twin flames or relationship, and the chances, the percentages, and it is also true that we do have free will in our choices.
We always have free will.
Certainly, it's always but it's always nice to have a guidance. And
the chart is never going to be a definitive answer to your question. It's always going to be a potential aid to dealing with a situation and how you choose to function under those circumstances with that particular, what you might perceive as a problem or a conflict.
Yes.
It's not saying, well, if you do this, this will happen. There's nothing specifically concrete. It's, again, as you say, about free will and destiny. We have to bring destiny into this, and pre-programming as to what we may or may not have elected to do when we came into this particular lifetime, into this incarnation.
Correct.
And then you have horary astrology for the men. Sorry.
Whenever I've consulted a site, or we were discussing about a couple of sites that I've been using as well, to reference, like Astro Cafe, for instance, where I've been looking up, the position of the planets and the transitions, and and so on and so forth. I find that it's the type of feedback that I get from that website, for instance, is to do with my personal higher journey rather than rather than telling me what to do, basically. Because at the end of the day, particularly when it's in a relationship, we need to always look at our side. That doesn't mean that we're wrong or we're right. It just means like, how can I evolve in a relationship comparing to someone else? It doesn't matter what that person does and say. It's up to me whether and why or how I react to that person or situation. I mean, and so that
Absolutely,
is
and it's also dependent on whether you wish. It's also dependent on whether you wish to take the information you're getting from the chart as categorical, or whether you're looking at that information as an aid to working with your own intuition and the tools that you have available in your life to, either further a particular goal or ambition or an aspiration, and how that you believe or feel that the chart and what it's saying can help you personally.
And Melinda is asking, is it wise to incorporate the zodiac chart and the Chinese zodiac year chart together? Have you ever done that?
Absolutely. I mean, I've never combined the zodiac or the Western zodiac and also the Chinese zodiac, which is also very interesting and valid in its own right. So why not look at the two and evaluate whether they are working compatibly together or whether they're completely opposed to each other in terms of your personal consultation and what you wish that chart or those charts to offer you at that any particular time of doubt, confusion, security, and so on.
Yes.
I would also
what I
include
really
other
like
systems
about
of divination. The I Ching.
Of course.
Sorry.
It's okay. What I really like about the Chinese zodiac is that they include the elements, or elementals rather, and the elements, and which is a reflection of the Chinese medicine as well. When they assess your body according to whether you're metals, or you're cold, or you're wood, or you've got too much fire.
Absolutely.
And
so also, I find in Western astrology, you see, the elements are of primary importance: earth, fire, wind, fire, earth, air, and water. And that's often downplayed in an astrological reading, unless you're getting a really good deal from that astrologer who knows their stuff. Because I mean, just looking at the balance of elements in a person's chart can give you a heck of a lot of really important information without even looking at aspects and planets and signs and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'd also say that Indian Vedic astrology is as important as Chinese astrology as well, because that again will give you a heck of a lot of information about your health, particularly, and it's very, very often very specific, where Western astrology isn't as specific in terms of psychological well-being and physical well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. So, unless we have any other questions, probably we could start with the readings. What do you think? So the readings that, Phil, can you repeat what you said at the beginning? So the readings are not Transmediumship tonight, but they are tarot.
Yes, Danny and I initially discussed the possibility of just doing some tarot and some in other words, evidential mediumship and psychic reading as well, combined. We never quite know what we're going to get.
Yes.
So is that good with you, Danny?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Fine, absolutely. So if you're open for readings, can you please drop a message so that Phil can scroll through the chat? And good morning, Sandra.
I would just say before we...
Are you able to see the comments on the side of the screen, Phil? Is it just me, or do you all have a bit of Phil image stream being a bit choppy sometimes? Because it does cut.
I'm just tuning
more.
in. Oh,
Okay,
I'd like to
right.
stop at Lisa, please.
Lisa? Lisa Wynn. Yes, go for it.
Yes, I'd like to work with Lisa, please.
Go ahead.
Hello, Lisa. I'm hoping you're hearing me now. As I'm linking in with you, Lisa, I'm very aware of an elderly lady in spirit who comes to me in the form of a grandmother on your mother's side of the family. She could be your mum's mum, or it could be great mother, but more likely a grandmother. And she shows me herself as being quite an abundant lady physically, and a lady that would have invested a lot of her time and energy in her earlier years to being very, very busy and moving around and help in her own way, in her own time. She was also talking to me about the fact that she was very busy around the home, that she was very active in making things. She believed in, if you can actually make something and devise it yourself rather than go out and buy it, that was always a preferable option to her. So she's talking about this. She's talking about, she's pointing me and sending me up towards the north of England, because she said at one point there were links in the north of England with the family. And she talks about various people coming down from the north of England round, or rather down to the London area and relocating. And she said that in her sort of middle years, she was somebody that she found that she had to slow down a lot more because of various health conditions, and she wasn't always as able to be as proactive as I've spoken of in her earlier years. So yes, you're saying, Lisa, that's your grandma. That's good. That's good. She's laughing because she's pointing to her head, and she's saying that she used to love experimenting with hats. She was very fastidious with hats, so that she put one on and look in the mirror. No, take that one off. Put another one on. This would happen every time she was going out. Even if she was just going out for a casual stroll somewhere, she'd have to make sure she was wearing the right hat to do that walk in. Whereas somebody else would just snatch a hat and just stick it on and off they'd go. But she was very fastidious. She did love hats. Good. Thank you very much. She's also talking about you when you were a young girl and your mum making some kind of dessert, like a blancmange. We used to call it blancmange, a pink blancmange. And she said, on jelly as well, she talks to me about, because she said you were one for your desserts. You were very picky about sort of main meals, but when it came to desserts, you were quite easily pleased. And she laughs about that. It was a bit of a family joke. Yeah, okay, Lisa, that's the impression she was giving me. She's saying that just before she passed, 2 or 3 years before she passed, she started having a lot of problems with the eyesight here. And I don't know whether there was some glaucoma or there was a cataract of some kind, cataract in the left eye, that needed to be dealt with. And she said that affected her reading and her sight. She didn't go blind, thank God, but there was an impairment of her vision. And she said that did affect her and made her a bit sort of grumpy and irritable, because she couldn't do things, particularly like stitching, that she used to do in her earlier years. So that's her basic sort of description and evidential information to substantiate herself. And she talks to me now about you, because she says you've been standing in the shadows a bit. You've been standing in the wings, waiting for this is metaphorical, waiting for your entrance on stage, as it were. And I'm not implying that you're an actress, but I'm saying that you're waiting for will be absolutely ready and right to accept and to get underway. and she's saying you've been waiting, you've been waiting a little bit too long. You're getting used to standing in the wings too much, and she wants you to just get on, metaphorically again, get on stage and start doing the work. Start using those new skills that you've been learning, because she said you've surprised yourself at how those skills have really developed and moved forward and given you a great deal more confidence and satisfaction in the work that you do. Because up to 4 years ago, and she's saying 4 years, you were very dissatisfied with the type of work that you were doing, and you just knew that you had to just change direction and move into this new area that will ultimately give you fulfillment and bring you happiness and satisfaction. So you're saying you can take that. That's good. Thank you very much, Lisa. And she's sending me to, she says that when you go on holidays or when you go on your travels, you get very attracted to being inside either sort of monastic buildings or buildings like small abbeys or very ancient prehistoric churches of some kind. That history seems to resonate with you. It makes you almost feel as though you're in a time warp and you're going back into that period of time. And she says that that is very much a part of your intrinsic makeup, because we all had a lot of past experience, past incarnation. And it seems to suggest that at one point you had a lifetime that was invested in either a monastic surrounding or some form of religious, what's the word I want here? Observation. So I hope you can take that, Lisa. You understand that? That's good. And thank you very much for working with me. Okay, Danny, do you want me to do another one, or do you want to do one? Or
sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Yes, I just pulled up a quick card for Lisa. Just to say that I got so because we were talking about, I knew that we were going to touch base on the horoscope, and astrology. I'm using the Chinese 5 Elements Oracle. I thought that would be fun. And
that was interesting.
Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this card, Lisa, for you, it's the water ox. It says softness and gentleness. So I feel that recently you have been finding the calm and the peace that you have been that you've been seeking for a long time. And you have very developed third eye and intuition, which I know you do because I know you. And you have the skill to pass on messages to others, because you see there is a pendant with a star on the throat of the ox. But it's to let the calm arrive into your life. And I think you like to bath in it, literally, as the ox is soaking water. I think this is exactly what you need right now. So it's just meant to be a couple of sentences, and I'll pass the mic, or the mic, depending, to Phil. Mike. Yeah, he says American English. So, there you go. So thank you.
Just before I leave, Lisa, just like to say, Lisa, that I'm being told that whether you're familiar with your birth chart, is connecting with your Mars, and either your Mars and or Venus. So that indicates to me that there's going to be a lot more exploration and a great deal more abundance of good fortune, certainly in terms of your relationships with people and your energetic disposition. that your energy has been quite low, and that the Jupiter is going to really boost that energy and bring you back into a place where you're able to do this new work and this new exploration. That's it.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank
So if you want, you can scroll through the messages and pick up the next person for the reading.
Okay, let's see where we go. So are these scrolling up automatically, these names?
You can scroll yourself, but otherwise I can read you the names. So we have Elizabeth Jones.
Right.
We have Tracy Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
We have Brittany Kittle. We have...
I'd like to go to Elizabeth, please.
Elizabeth Jones. There you are, Elizabeth. Yes. Elizabeth, tell us where you are connecting from. Let us know where you're connecting from. And hi. And I'll leave you with Phil for your message from South Wales.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. Right, I'm just being guided to do a tarot card for you, Elizabeth. And I don't know whether you've worked with the tarot, whether you understand the tarot, the imagery and the symbology. Hi, you're from South Wales. Oh, that's great. Lovely. Thank you. So I'm going to draw a card, and the card I have for you is the Empress. Now, the Empress is indeed a very, very nice card. And as you can see, the Empress is very much in a situation where she's very responsive to all the elements of the air, the earth, the fire, and the water. She's ruled by Venus in the astrological chart, so she's very much a person who, and you, I suggest, are very much a person who is very aware and lives out all your greatest Venusian qualities and attributes of nurturing and beauty and the love of art and nature and everything that represents to us emotional abundance. You see the Empress is she's in the fields. She's just the personification of beauty and our natural state of being, which without any complication is one of tranquility and repose and everything that we all wish we could all be most of the time. And you're telling me you love nature, which is great because that's where you reside, or rather she resides, the Empress. And I don't know whether Venus, because obviously I don't know your astrological chart, but I don't know whether you have a very prominent Venus in your chart. In other words, whether you are a Taurian or a Libran, or whether you have Venus rising in your chart on the ascendant, or whether it's conjunct or trining your personal planets. But I would suggest that it probably does play a very important part, or Venus plays an important part in your chart natally, and that also you may even have very important transits or progressions to your chart with your natal Venus and having a look at Elizabeth and seeing what might be happening there with Venus. But I would also urge that because Venus is going to shortly be, within the next month or two, it's going to be conjuncting Pluto. As transiting Pluto moves from Capricorn into Aquarius, there's going to be a Pluto-Venus conjunction, which is going to be incredibly powerful. So that anybody that has a prominent Venus in their chart is going to be very affected by this collective Venus conjuncting Pluto. So that's a great transformative time, certainly in terms of relationships, certainly in terms of finances, and your whole ethos of what it means to you to be aware of everything in life that is beautiful and to be appreciating the beauty of life in many, many different kinds of ways that perhaps you haven't noticed or appreciated before. So that's going to be a big, 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 big time for you if you allow that Venus and the Pluto to really work on it. Well, it's going to work on you regardless of whether you want it to or not. It's just whether you choose to be receptive to that energy. But it's good. It's very, very, very positive. So that's what I would say for you, Elizabeth. And there's a gentleman on your father's side of the family, going back to a grandfather figure here, who wishes to communicate from spirit. And he's showing me himself almost as a mariner of the sea. In fact, he's quoting a poem called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, which is a fantastic poem, and it lasts for, when you're reading it, it lasts for about sometimes 10-15 minutes. It's so long. But it's the principle of what he's telling me is that you are somebody that needs to be out there on the sea, metaphorically speaking, perhaps physically speaking, but to get that freedom of the open space and the wonderful power of the sea. And metaphorically, when the tide is coming in for you now, it's bringing you so much abundance of what you've been giving out to people and what you've been giving out to life. It's now bringing those wonderful back to you on the crest of the wave. So the sea and the maritime feel and the maritime atmosphere is incredibly important to you at the moment, along with the planet Venus and the Empress in the tarot. So that's your message, Elizabeth, and I hope that's meaning something to you and resonating.
Thank you, Phil. Lovely message. Thank you. And Elizabeth, for you, I have picked up, the card is Earth Peak, and it says surrender to the moment. So I am feeling, Elizabeth, for you, that you have decided recently to take a step back from action and life in particular, to dedicate a bit more space to yourself. I do not exclude that you would have asked someone, or you would have gone for healing somewhere, or to seek. Very peculiarly, there are lots of crystals around this lovely piglet sleeping, so there is a lot of healing going for you. And I think that if you really wanted to, if you wanted to benefit out of this moment of recuperation of energy, if you like, rest as well, perhaps you've gone through a period where you haven't been able to sleep very well. This is the moment that you treat yourself a bit more to some kind of healing treatment, and be gentle with yourself. I feel that you do tend to be affected by life events. Even listening to the news would make you feel like a bit down, disappointed, feeling the injustice. So yeah, I'll leave it there for now. And thank you for coming along. So Phil, do you want to choose someone else?
Okay, let's see where we go. Are we getting the YouTube and Facebook people on here on the feed, or is this just?
Yes, so you will see the F for Facebook and the YouTube icon for the people that are. Sometimes if people do not click to enter, they're still following, but we cannot see where they're following us.
I got you.
Yeah, so
I'd like to give a message to Melinda.
Melinda, I was about to say, that's interesting. I'll leave you to Melinda then.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hi, Melinda. Good to see you again. And I'd like to say, Melinda, that I'm being told by my inspirers that they're showing me, I haven't picked it from my pack, but they're showing me the Magician card from the tarot. And they're saying that you've now come to a point in your journey, in your spiritual journey, and, well, physical journey as well, whereby you have all the various tools that you need for your work at your disposal. You've hitherto been rather reluctant to use one or two aspects of the various skills that you've learnt in the past. In terms of now the way that you feel your mediumistic work and your spiritual work is developing, and you've rather isolated yourself into two specific areas, but they're telling me that you can now afford to bring these other skills into the current work format and incorporate them and blend them with what you are doing now, because the work you are doing now is going to amplify itself on a much, much wider level to very different people, they're telling me, than you are often used to working with. So there's almost going to be like a change of gear in your professional work, and that change of gear is going to require that you, as I've said, incorporate these skills that you've learnt or specialized in the past but haven't felt were appropriate to use until now. They're also telling me that you've been considering or thinking about some sort of physical move of location, and that either you tried to relocate somewhere, not a great distance, but even if it was just a short distance, that you tried to do something in terms of this move, but it didn't quite work out. It didn't feel appropriate at the time. But they said that because your elevation of the work that you are doing needs kind of like almost a different environment, a slightly different environment to function to its best quality. And that's why they're saying you felt this need to kind of shift location or change location. It could even be working or moving from your home to another building where you wish to conduct this work, rather than doing your work totally from a home base. So that's what they're giving me. That's what they're telling me about that. And of course, with the Magician, he is totally in control of the various aspects of his skill and his accomplishment, and he can choose what to use, when to use it, and he has this whole panoply of wonderful attributes that are now really starting to generate of their own volition. It's not a question of you saying, well, now how do I think I want to work today? How should I do this? It's all just going to be very crystal clear to you. And it's rather, oh, you're saying you've moved into a great space. That's excellent. And they're also telling me that you've been looking at aspects of your work almost in microscopic detail. It's almost as though you're looking through a microscope at what you've been doing, and you're seeing like nitty-gritty of the work, and how that nitty-gritty of the work can be reformed or reconstituted in some way to make it applicable to, as I said before, the kinds of people that you will be working with in the very near future. You're also deciding to bring a lot of your knowledge into book form, and to put that knowledge to, as I say, into a book. But it's not going to be the kind of book that you originally envisaged when you initially thought about doing a book. It's going to be a very different kind of book. And it's also going to incorporate a lot of the experiences that you had as a young person, and how those experiences really shaped your life and formed you into the person that you are today. So I'm not saying it's going to be autobiographical. It's not, but it's going to infuse a lot of the experiences that you had as a child, which then later developed, changed, modified, but it's going to bring those back into much greater focus for the purpose of using in this journal, book, whatever it is that you're thinking of writing. So that's what I would say to you about that, Melinda. You can see that. That's good. Thank you very much. So I don't know whether Danny has anything that she'd like to
Yes, I have a card for
And
Melinda. The card is Fire Rabbit, and it says, Welcome the Muse. Now, how interesting is that? Because I know, because I follow Melinda. Melinda has recently joined the media, and I follow her on TikTok and Instagram, and she's living every day some words of wisdom, shall we say, and you cannot defend because she does want to be inspiring others to reconnect to themselves. But what this card is actually saying is that, Melinda, you have already, because this is already happening, you have stepped up on your spiritual journey and you're making yourself visible. So you are here in the limelight, okay? And you are indeed this is like a cute pet. But what that means for you, it means that you are at the beginning of your journey, at the beginning of inspire and being inspired by spirit to do exactly that. Okay, look at that, how beautiful this card is. So you are the muse, but at the same time you inspire others. So this is finally your journey. You are there. Okay, so this is only the beginning and it will only get better. Be visible, be out there, and keep trusting spirit that you are on the right track. And I will leave it there. Phil, if you want to choose someone else,
yeah,
please.
yeah.
So
I'd just
if
like
you're
to
interested,
quickly say to Melinda before we go that I'm being
of
told
course,
that
go
I don't
ahead.
know whether she studied I don't know whether you've studied, Melinda, the works of Rudolf Steiner, the philosopher, spiritual guy. But if you haven't, dip into it, because they're saying that Steiner's ideas and his sort of perspective on 20th century spirituality per se would be very useful in terms of where you are now in your own thinking and in your own self-awareness. So I just throw that into the mix. Rudolf Steiner. Okay.
Beautiful.
Right. Well, thank you, and I appreciate all
So
of you.
Sandra Ferreira, who is
That's
joining
a
us
pleasure.
from, yes, Sandra is joining us from
Okay,
California.
thank you, Sandra.
She's saying, so amazing, this combination of mediumship, tarot, and horoscope. Love it. And thank you, Danny and Phil. Thank you, Sandra, for being with us. So,
Right.
do you want
I'm going to, yeah, I'd like
Sorry, Phil.
to go to Sandra,
There is a
actually.
bit of to Sandra, absolutely.
Hello,
Sandra, the next
Sandra. Can you
reading
hear
is
me?
for you. Yeah, there is a little bit of delay on your speech when you talk, Phil. That's why we
Sandra.
overlap sometimes.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll leave you to it.
I know. I'm having a bit of a problem with freezing on me sometimes, Danny. Your picture's freezing a bit, but never mind. We're okay. So Sandra, yes. Sandra, my helper here, my guide, is very insistent on telling you to look at how you are working at the moment with your energy system within yourself, because it seems to me that you've been feeling physically as though certain aspects of your life are out of synchronization, and that one part of your body wants to do something that the other part doesn't want to do, and the head wants to do something that the intuition doesn't want to do. So it's a little bit swings and roundabouts with you, and you've been getting a little bit sort of uptight and frustrated with yourself about this, and they're saying that this is due to the fact that you have where are we going? About 9 months ago, 8 months, they're saying, 8 months ago, in the sense that um, you had expected a particular venture or a project to start moving forward in the way that you had envisaged in your mind, but it didn't start and move forward in the way that you had anticipated. So that in itself started to generate this frustration about, why is this not working when I know that I've spent a lot of time and energy and focus on getting it right, and suddenly there seem to be these kind of metaphorical roadblocks. But it's about the fact that apparently you need to sit back, you need to take stock, you need to reprogram what you, or how you were thinking of bringing this idea into manifestation, because there are aspects of the work, they're calling it, that you wanted or thought would be good to introduce. You did it regardless. But now they're saying, look at those aspects that you were originally going to introduce into the work, which you put to one side, because now you're starting to feel that they would actually be beneficial to the whole area of what you're trying to do. So I hope that makes sense. But it's about taking stock. It's about regaining a greater sense of your own self, your own identity, and a great deal more rooting and earthing yourself, because you have been kind of going up a bit in the clouds, and I want to bring you down into a much kind of earthier kind of quality now, which is why they're talking about Saturn in your birth chart either being aspected or Saturn transiting currently and aspecting your sun or moon and giving you this feeling of kind of heaviness and everything is such an effort, and I wish I could just fly, get in my jet plane metaphorically and fly again above the clouds. So that's what they're telling me, and you can take that, thank goodness. So that's what they want to impart to you, and I'm just going to quickly give you a card from my Rider-Waite deck, I should say. And the card I'm going to give you is the Hermit. There he is, the Hermit. So the Hermit suggests to me that there is this time period that you've been moving through where you've gone through a great deal of reassessment and a great deal of contemplation and a great deal of circumspect analysis of yourself. He's holding a light. He's holding a light in order to be able to see where he's moving, where he should move next. And it's that light which is going to be, well, it's his guiding light. So it's your guiding light. And, there's always, we have that phrase, don't we? The light at the end of the tunnel. And in your case, there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel, but you need to affirming that what you have been doing is actually good and fulfilling for you personally. It's no good just putting ourselves on the line and saying, well, I feel I've got to do this for everybody because they need this and they need that. What do you need, Sandra? It's about looking at what you need now and putting yourself, very unselfishly, putting yourself first now. So they're really hammering that home to you. And the Hermit's been good for you because it's made you sit back, close off, and really take a good, long, hard look at who you are and regain your sense of self-worth and your strength and your energy and your conviction, which you've always had. You've always had that conviction, idea going forward that didn't quite work out the way you expected it to. So thank you very much, Sandra, and that's your message.
That was beautiful. And you know what? My card, the card that I've pulled out, actually resonates with your reading.
Thank you, Val. Yes, the combination of tarot and astrology definitely gives a more in-depth reading.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have the card for Sandra, and the card is talking about, Sandra, you going through a great transformation. You are trying to make your life, you're trying to live your life in a more light-hearted way. You are embracing the activation of the Kundalini, because if you see, there is a snake there. So the Kundalini is your next level up of your growth and evolution. Okay. And yes, I feel that you are, it says here, embrace the great transformation. I feel you already have. You are aware of that, and you are ready for the new chapter in your life, if you like. Phil, would you like to choose one more person?
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
okay.
I don't quite know where I'm going with this at the moment, and I usually know exactly where I'm going, but I have a gentleman in spirit who is playing the violin, and he's playing it very beautifully, and he said he would have passed in his late 50s, early 60s. He wasn't of a professional standard in as much as he played in an orchestra or he played solo, but he was very accomplished in his own particular way of playing. And he would play at events, he would play when asked to do at certain, celebrations. And he was a musical man all round, through and through. And he wants to come to a lady online here. I wish he'd give me her name, but he hasn't. Wants to come through to a lady who has herself musical talents, but feels she isn't good enough to advance the musical knowledge that she has acquired from a very early age. In fact, this lady underestimates herself a great deal in terms of musicality and what she has to offer people. I'm not saying your concert standard or orchestral standard, but nevertheless, he says that you've been through a very frustrating time in a relationship that has left you feeling very drained and very tired and very much of the mind, oh, what's the use of bothering, because I'm never going to find anybody with whom that understands me to the degree that I feel I need to be understood. And so he's saying that the love of music in you is something that can really pull you up, bring you up, give you hope for the future. And although you may not be using this music on a professional level, nevertheless, it's a wonderful therapeutic tool for you to regenerate your energy and your faith in the future. And just play for yourself, play whatever you like. And he's telling me the music of Elgar, the British composer Edward Elgar, is very, very important in your life. And if you haven't heard very much Elgar, then I suggest that you do listen, not to the obvious Elgar like Pomp and Circumstance and so on, but listen to cello concerto, and you will get a great deal of inspiration. And also you started either working with or looking after children of some kind, younger children, and helping them with their work or generating imagination, their imagination, and just making them feel more alert and more alive. Now, I don't know who this is for, so can anybody take this information, please?
So can we recap the details? So we have a man, a gentleman that used to play violin, did you say?
He played violin. He didn't play always to well, he played to a professional standard, but he didn't think he was good enough to play in an orchestra. But he used to play at events. He used to please people so much with his playing. So he's not a family member, but he's somebody you would have met or identified with or seen
So
at some
Sandra
point.
is taking it. Sandra can take this.
Sandra can take it. I'm still with you, Sandra. That's interesting. So can you take everything about this gentleman and what he's saying to you about the relationship and you feeling very down and your love of music and helping to regenerate you and Edward Elgar? Your friend Andrew. Ah, it's interesting. Thank you for that. And good. I hope this is making sense to you, Sandra. Good. Excellent. I was so hoping you'd say yes, not no. Anything, Danny?
Well, I feel that your friend Andrew, there was like a special relationship, and he kind of inspired you actually also when it comes to music, because you are, Sandra, an opera singer. I know that about you, as well as other things. But I think you very well connected on the music level. And I find that you would have gone on dates, perhaps attending concerts, things like that, where you could, in a friendly way, brother and sister kind of thing, beautiful passion of yours on music, about music. Yes, he did. We did duets in opera together. There you go. Yes, I do feel that you were together quite a bit in so much as much as the music was concerned. I understand that Andrew had some problems in his life, for as much as a relationship was concerned, and he felt comfortable in sharing with you his issues and seeking advice from you on this subject as well. He had, and he still is saying, he has the utter admiration for you, for your profession, and for everything that you have achieved in your life despite the challenges. And he's just wanted to say, never despair, my friends. You are better than that. And he's hinting that you know what he's talking about. And he's saying the worst is over. So you really want to, let go of that past and embrace the future. We were both Aries and got along very well, no doubt about it. And Phil could definitely confirm that as well, I'm sure. But yeah, there was like a very good feel together. You had some amazing time together and beautiful memories. Can you pick up anything on both of them from the perspective of them being both Arieses?
Yeah, I can actually, because Mars rules Aries. And I was referring to Sandra's energy being very sort of low and down. And, for an Aries to have no energy, which I was discussing with Danny earlier on, is like, the pits. It's the epilogue, basically. So, that would have been very tough for you. But I feel that, and I hardly ever say I feel in a reading, but I do feel that astrologically speaking, the Mars is going to certainly benefit in your chart, Sandra, from a big booster from Jupiter at some point, either towards the early part or the middle part of next year. So I'm looking at probably a trine between Jupiter and your Mars, which will give you a great booster. And also, there's just stuff that's going to happen before then that's going to really lift you up. And they're giving me or rather he's giving me, your friend Andrew, is talking about Handel's operas, Rodelinda and Theodora, and also Rossini's Barbara of Seville. Now, those three different works will in some way be relevant to you or to both of you, i.e. that you will either have done duets from some or both of those, all of those, or one of them, but they are significant. Rodelinda, Theodora by Handel, and Rossini's Barbara of Seville. That's it. Thank you, Sandra. All the best.
I'm just waiting for Sandra to comment on that. But that sounds like really beautiful message, actually, with the word, the names that you've just provided, and the evidence and the reference to the names. As we are waiting for Sandra, there is always a 10-15 seconds delay on StreamYard. John Pugsley actually asked a question earlier on. He said, I love Phil's deck. Can you please tell me the name of it?
Yes, John, it's the Rider-Waite Tarot deck. That's Riderwaite, the Rider-Waite.
So it's noteworthy to mention.
Makes perfect sense. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah. It's noteworthy to say, John, that that is a classic in tarot. Okay, that's what all started the tarot. Okay, and everything else is a derivation of it, if you like. But that is the very classic.
I would say it's a very good. It's a very good beginners. It's a good beginners deck. It's very straightforward. The pictorially, it's very easy to understand.
Yeah.
You don't need to be starting with anything complicated like the Thoth deck, the Aleister Crowley, or the. I mean, I'm studying the Jung tarot right now on the Jung deck, which is very interesting. But I'm dipping into the Crowley as well, Thoth, which is more esoteric and advanced. But,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Although I understand that the Thoth tarot deck is,
Danny, may I just recommend a book for those interested in?
Oh yes, of course, please do.
I'd like to recommend this book, which is called. Oh God, where's it going? Can you put me on full screen, please, so I can see? That's better. So this is it. It's called Astrology for the Light Side of the Brain, and it's by Kim Rogers. Fantastic book for beginners. Well, not just beginners, but sort of intermediate as well, really. So Astrology for the Light Side of the Brain. And if you're interested in gaining more information, in-depth information about the luminaries, the sun and the moon, which are the starting points really in astrology, I can't recommend anything more than Liz Green's book, The Luminaries. The Psychology of the Sun and Moon in the Horoscope. That's by a lady I trained with, Liz Green, at the Center for Psychological Astrology. Fantastic teacher, world-class astrologer. And that's the book. So I recommend those two if you're just starting out. Thank you, Tracy.
Sorry, I was saying that is wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for the most lovely evening, Phil. Your messages have something really special, because as quite a few of our followers tonight have mentioned, a beautiful mellowing messages of astrology and tarot cards and mediumship, and it's just it's been flowing so well. And I know everybody has really enjoyed. We had very good numbers tonight following. So what I will do, I will be publishing. So John is saying Astrology for the Light Side of the Brain, Kim Rogers Gallagher.
That's it. That's good.
And
sorry, my Alexa's just come on.
Oh yeah, she wants to give a reading as well, doesn't she?
She does. She wants to be in on everything. Shut up, Alexa.
I love that. Just as much the invasion of a baby or a dog. Now we have to add Alexa as well. Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
I was doing a demonstration at Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. I was giving a message to a lady, and I said whatever I said about the mother coming through, da 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 da. And we still had our Alexa machine on in the church. And suddenly Alexa said, "I don't understand that." So it brought the house down, because the poor lady that was getting the message didn't have a chance to answer because Alexa answered for her and said she didn't understand it. So yeah, that was just
oh, so funny. And so, Phil, I must just say a thank you, a huge felt thank you for being here tonight, for delighting us once again with your beautiful, knowledge across the board, different topics and subjects. And I'm sure we will see you again sometime in the new year. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for having come along in good numbers. And I wanted to mention that next week, as will be the 30th of October, so myself and Sue Whitten will be coming along to talk about spirit, about the veil becoming very thin between this world and the next world, and the next level up, I would love to say. And we will be giving messages, but it will be a special one. We will be talking a lot about, not just Halloween as such, but the traditions, and when it comes to spirituality and the real meaning of Halloween, as far as our soul and our life journey is concerned. So thank you very much for having followed us until the end. And I shall see you next week. Thank you again, Phil, for having given us the honor. And
privilege.
And I will be publishing later on or tomorrow the details of Phil's, in case anyone wanted to get in touch with him, be it for a reading or any questions. And I'm sure he will be delighted for you to be in touch with him. Okay. And I shall see you all very soon next week. You take care. Have a good lunchtime, good afternoon, and good evening if you are in the UK. And I shall see you next week. Take care, you all.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, everyone.